Vector final approach course 250.
Descend and maintain 3000.
Wait, Delta 45 Bravo, hold short runway 28. Stop all departures. Now.
Mayday! We are experiencing severe turbulence. Request immediate vector.
Hold everything.
The control room went quiet mid-sentence. Radar screens glowed green. Coffee cups froze halfway to lips. A supervisor raised a hand instinctively, not to signal calm, but because something in the voice cutting through the headset didn't belong there. Stop all departures, now! It wasn't on the schedule. It wasn't protocol, and it definitely wasn't supposed to come from the woman who had been sitting silently in the back for hours. But in that moment, every instinct in the room screamed the same thing. Listen. No one there knew who she really was, and no one yet understood what she had just prevented. The morning rush at the Regional Air Traffic Control Center had been relentless. Planes stacked on runways, pilots impatient, weather tightening like a fist over the eastern corridor. Controllers spoke in clipped codes, voices steady, trained to hide stress. Lives moved through their hands every second. In the far back row, away from the main consoles, a woman sat perfectly still. Her name was Elena Brooks. She wore a visitor badge, no headset, no active screen, just a notebook on her lap, untouched. To anyone else, she looked like another quiet observer, maybe a trainee, maybe an auditor. No one paid attention. That almost cost them everything. Because Elena hadn't come to watch, she had come to listen. And the longer she listened, the more wrong everything felt. The supervisor announced a slight weather delay adjustment. Pilots acknowledged. A controller cleared another departure. The system flowed. Too smoothly. Elena's fingers tightened around the notebook. She leaned forward slightly, eyes fixed on one specific flight path flashing across the radar. A regional jet scheduled to climb through a corridor that was supposed to be clear, but it wasn't. Not really. She had heard it in the voices, a hesitation, a controller repeating a clearance just a fraction too carefully, a weather update that came 30 seconds late. Small things. The kind people miss when they're trained to trust systems more than instincts. Elena had learned the hard way never to do that. Her heart began to pound. She told herself she was overreacting, that she was tired, that it wasn't her place. She wasn't on duty. She wasn't even supposed to speak. She almost stayed silent. That mattered, because the next clearance came through. And it was wrong. Not catastrophically wrong, not obviously wrong, just wrong enough. Elena stood up. Chairs scraped, a few heads turned annoyed. Before anyone could stop her, she stepped toward an empty console, reached for an unused headset and spoke, her voice steady, low, unmistakably certain. Stop all departures, now. The room snapped to attention. Who said that? Someone barked. A controller spun around. She's not logged in. The supervisor strode forward. Ma'am, you can't. Elena didn't raise her voice. She didn't argue. She simply said, Flight 482 is about to enter unstable air at climb level 30. The weather data you're using is delayed. The system hasn't updated the shear report yet. Silence. Someone laughed nervously. We'd see that. Elena shook her head. You won't. Not until it's too late. The supervisor hesitated. Seconds felt like minutes. On what authority? He asked. Elena met his eyes. On experience. That was the moment everything balanced. A junior controller spoke up quietly. Sir, the secondary feed just pinged. Another voice. I'm seeing turbulence markers, new ones. A third, urgent now. Wind shear warning just came through. The room erupted. Hold all departures. Confirm altitude block. Notify pilots immediately. Flight 482 stopped at the gate. 3 minutes later, the updated weather system showed it clearly. Violent, unpredictable shear exactly where the jet would have climbed. The kind that flips aircraft. The kind that doesn't forgive mistakes. Hands shook. Someone swore under their breath. The supervisor turned back to Elena slowly. "Who are you?" She took off the headset, hands trembling now that the adrenaline was fading. "My name is Elena Brooks," she said. "I used to sit up there." She pointed to the main control row. "I was an air traffic controller for 12 years. Murmurs rippled through the room. "Why used to?" someone asked. Elena looked down. "Because 5 years ago, I missed something small." The room grew still again. A weather delay, a voice that sounded off. I trusted the system instead of my gut. Her voice tightened. The plane went down. No survivors. No one interrupted. "I couldn't come back," she continued. "But I still listen. I still hear it when something doesn't sound right." She swallowed. Today, it sounded wrong. The supervisor exhaled slowly. "You just saved a plane full of people," he said. Elena shook her head. "You did. You listened." That afternoon, the story spread quietly through the center. No press, no headlines, just a shared understanding that something terrible had almost happened. Before Elena left, the supervisor stopped her. "You don't have a badge, but you should." He handed her a temporary access card. "Sit wherever you want, and if you ever hear something that doesn't feel right." Elena nodded. "I'll speak." Weeks later, Elena returned, not as a visitor, not as a ghost in the back row, but as a safety consultant. She still sat quietly most days, still listened more than she spoke. And when she did speak, the room stopped. Because everyone there remembered the morning when the quiet woman in the back stood up, and by trusting her voice, saved lives that would never know her name.